So thanks everyone for joining. I'm Ian Zeiters. I'm the demand generation manager at Agency Revolution. I'm joined by David Chorley, and we are today presenting the Pipeline Power Up, which is about maximizing lead management for insurance agencies. So we're going to dive deep into how you can make the most of every single lead you get, whether that's brand new client, maybe it's a current client expanding their coverage, or as we'll show you, maybe it's your existing clients and you want to create a system of managing service requests in a different way so that you can never miss a lead and you're always on top of everything. So let's dive into the topic today. But before we do that, let's talk about some best practices before we get into the real best practices. So feel free to open up the web chat if you want to go ahead and chat with Chorley or I. And we also have Jolene in the background answering questions. So feel free to jump in. And if you do have questions that are just burning and you need to get them out, we love questions. We'll answer them throughout the presentation, and we're also going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you want to open up the Q&A, you can ask your questions there. And just a reminder, we're not only going to be sending you a recording of the webinar, so if you need to leave early, that's okay. We're going to send you a recording tomorrow at about 11 o'clock Eastern. But with that, you're also going to get a resource. So Lead Management Best Practices resource. You're going to be able to take the knowledge that we give you today, and you can build that into your own lead management strategies for your own agency. So we have a nice little interactive guide for you to not only keep that information front of mind, but also to experiment, try things out, and actually use the strategies we're showing you. So we always love to put education first. However, if you guys stay around to the end and you don't leave, we are going to do a nice little swag giveaway. So if you've been on one of our webinar events before, you'll know full well that we do these giveaways, and there's only going to be 3 lucky winners, guys. So make sure when we get to the end of the webinar here today, we're going to open up a little quiz, and whoever wins that question, they're going to win this t-shirt. So uh,
Nice.
details coming, but just to kind of keep you excited for the end of the show. But now that we've got the pleasantries out of the way, let's jump into the webinar. So again, the topic today is pipeline power up, and our agenda, we're going to cover several things. First, we're going to cover why leads matter. Of course, you guys know full well why leads matter, but we want to go over some high level things of how you can actually take leads that you're getting and manage them even better. We're going to talk about what's in a lead. So we're going to dive deep into the anatomy of a lead. What should you be tracking? What should you be capturing so that you understand how to manage leads that are coming through your door so you can turn them into loyal clients at the end of the day. We're going to show you how to use a lead management pipeline. So from start to finish, we're going to show you how to build your own, or if you're using a system like our Fuse marketing automation pipelines, we'll show you exactly how you can do that as well. And then we're going to go over some best practices, tips that you can take home with you so that you can start implementing into your own agency. And then we have a special treat for you. David Chorley is going to run through a live demonstration of our Fuse marketing automation pipelines and show you how it works in real time. So we've got a lot of fun filled excitement here in this presentation. And if you couldn't tell, we're super excited to be here and we're glad that you could join us today. So who we are Agency Revolution, of course. And so if you haven't been to one of our webinars before, or you haven't heard of us too much, we welcome you to joining us today, and we really appreciate your time. But we have been in the business from the beginning, is what we say. So we've been working with independent insurance agencies since the very start. That's always been our focus, and that's what sets us apart in so many ways because all of the solutions we build are made with your businesses in mind. So we were founded in 2012. We have over 3,000 insurance agencies that we're working with. We have a 100% customer satisfaction rating. And as Monica, who is the VP of marketing and operations, she usually runs these. You probably are missing her right now, but she's on vacation. She's having fun in Florida with her family. So she always likes to say, though, it's actually a 99.9%, but she likes to round up to 100%. So We have 200 5-star Google reviews. We have our complete insurance marketing platform, which you'll get a bit of a hint of when we go into the live demonstration. And we also have a deep AMS integration, which will show you how that ties into lead management, plus innovative AI marketing tools. Everyone is talking about AI these days, and we're definitely staying ahead of the pack on that. So we've got a lot of fun to show you, but we just want to do a little bit of an intro of who we are if you haven't joined us on one of the webinars before. So what do we do? We offer a complete insurance marketing platform. So that includes our marketing automation platform, which is called Fuse. And this includes a true AMS connection to send timely communications to your clients. Think of it as right time, right place communications. So you're always staying in touch with your book of business, and most of it is automated, so it helps you out. Plus, as we're going to see, ties in directly to our Fuse Pipelines platform. So you can manage your leads and stay on top of every opportunity that comes your way. We also focus on insurance websites. This is called our Forge platform. This lets you tell your agency's story. You can leverage lead generation with built-in forms, and it also has real-time analytics, so you can stay in touch with, hey, how's my website performing? How can I improve it? And also puts the focus on engaging and educating your audience with built-in tools. Plus, we've got some amazing add-ons. It feels like we're getting add-ons every other day. So we have quite a few here. We have business texting, which lets you reach out to your clients via live chat or texting. We have do it for me marketing, which, as it sounds, it's exactly what it says on the tin. Our team works with you to do your marketing for you. We also do local listings, which helps you show up on different directory listings. We have reputation management, which helps you gather reviews and showcase them on your website. We also have social media, so that helps you stay active on your social media platforms with free content that's available, as well as AI and automation built into that too. So all of that to say, that's our complete insurance marketing platform. We'll send you more information at the end of the show if you're interested in learning more. But let's get into the fun stuff, right? Why are you here? First, you got to get to know us, make sure you're comfortable talking to Charlie and I, right? So I'm the demand generation manager. I'm Ian. From this picture here, obviously I had to go all in on the theme. So this is me at an arcade. It was actually a pop-up arcade at Music Fest in Bethlehem. And so they had a tent and they had a bunch of arcade machines, and my grandpa and I were just playing these all night. The rest of my family was like, "We're out of here. We're gonna go listen to the music." But we were like, "We're gaming. We're going all in." I was playing some Galaga, classic arcade game. So that's me. I've been here over 6 years now at the company, and yeah, so really excited to see you guys and excited to talk about our topic today. But Charlie, have at
Hi,
it.
my name is
Who
David
are you?
Chorley, but they call me Chorley, even though there's no other David here at the company. And I lead the client success team, and it's our role to work with existing AR customers and try to get them as engaged as possible with our products. So as a result, I have worked with many of you. I recognize almost half the names on this list, and in some cases, have had great relationships with a lot of you. So really, really, really good to see you. I'm also trying to embrace the theme here in this photo. This is a photo of me at Mario Land at Epic Universe in Orlando, but the original photo, you can see much more of that. In this crop version, it's basically a picture of my face. So there you are. Not just my face, but my like humid, gross afternoon in Florida weather
Hey,
face. So
putting a face to the name, right?
you're
That's it.
welcome.
That's it.
You're
You got to
welcome.
do that.
so so there you go. Epic Universe was a lot of fun. I was there at a convention actually, so I actually went by myself. Highly recommend Epic Universe, but I can't say that I recommend going to a theme park by yourself. They're definitely designed to go with other people.
No, and we appreciate you joining, Charlie. We've talked about this at length, but you are definitely one of our top team members who really gets your hands dirty when it comes to pipeline, working with our clients one-on-one, especially your team. So really happy to have you here. So let's dive into the presentation proper. So first things first, why does this matter? Why does lead management matter? So let's cover the importance of why you should manage leads the right way. Because yes, every insurance agency, like obviously you're here because you have been getting leads, whether it's referrals or through your website or online, but managing them is a whole other beast. And I'm sure you understand that coming from the industry background. So we want to show you some good strategies that we think are going to help you up your game, level up, so to speak, to stick on theme, right? So, Charlie, why do leads matter if you want to jump in?
Absolutely. Well, it's all about maximizing growth, Ian, and developing a lead management strategy, a sales enablement strategy, whatever you want to call it. Is it's really the creation of a process within your agency to be able to fully manage those leads, right? And that is going to lead to expansion of your agency and ultimately building strong client relationships once those
Mm-hmm.
leads become clients. um, Through lead management and developing a strategy, you're going to be able to boost conversion rates, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it is just the nature of the beast, right? If you actually are using the strategy, following it to a T, daily management, making sure that you're following up with leads, I guarantee you, you're going to convert more of those than you would otherwise. And that
Exactly.
involves the consistent follow up, right? That's probably the most important thing about what we're going to talk about today, is making sure that nothing falls through the cracks, and that when leads come in, whether they're cold leads that come in through a phone call, whether it's a referral that you got, someone handed you a business card, that each one of those leads is going to get the proper follow up. And then finally, accountability, and actually I can make a strong argument that this is probably the most important, or maybe what most of our customers are lacking at this point with their current process, is the ability for not only the agents to hold themselves accountable with where those leads are within that journey, but also for managers, and people in leadership to be able to hold their staff accountable, to make sure that everything is being followed through accordingly. And so
That's
all of
excellent.
these things combined make up why it's super important to at least build out a process. And that's really all we're talking about here with lead management.
It's an excellent point you made, Charlie. And just to recap on this, you are dealing with, you're having leads come in wherever they're coming in from, actually managing them in a timely manner, as we're going to get into, is going to be key here. So let's dive into what's in a lead. Like what should you actually be tracking as far as every single lead that you get? Because I'm sure there's certain things that you're already doing on a daily basis. If a new lead comes through your quote form, they fill out a form and they're interested in an auto insurance policy or something, what are you gathering? You're probably gathering contact information and such. But we're going to dive deep into what should you keep track of in terms of the lead management side. So in
Right.
addition to gathering contact information, what should you be gathering? We're going to give you some examples here. So Charlie, have at it.
Absolutely. So you're going to see all of this in the live demo here in a few minutes. But yes, in addition to all of the information that you'd actually need to produce a quote for this lead, we recommend just a few basic things. So a lead, and in our case, we'll show you what this looks like on an actual lead card. You want a lead title, right? So whatever is that means to your agency in terms of being easily to identify what this lead is and where they are, but typically that could either be the name of a company or the name of the actual individual that's looking for the lead.
Yeah, this is your quick reference. So if you're managing a lead in whatever system, at a glance, okay, I'm working on this lead. I know who I'm talking to. And if it's Mario Bros. Plumbing, okay, I know that that's the company I'm working with, and then it would go into further information. Or, hey, this is David Chorley. I know that I'm going to speak with him when I'm reaching out to this lead.
And then due dates. This is going to be one of two things that we're really going to emphasize in this webinar today, and might likely be a sort of a new process or a built-in process for anyone that has never used this sort of lead management tool before. But making sure that you're appropriately and regularly assigning due dates to the leads in their various stages is going to be crucial, because it's going to come back and allow you to follow up and again, provide accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And then owners, who's actually in charge of the lead, right? We assume that in most cases there's multiple hands involved, and we certainly recommend creating a unified process in which all agents are adopting the same sort of process and using the same tool. And so this can work in a world where a manager is going to be assigning leads out to other agents within the agency. And that's all part of the process as well.
Yeah, or if you're just a one person shop, it's just going to be you, right? But yeah, you
Right.
have the flexibility. You know, hey, as a manager, I know, okay, this agent is assigned to this lead, so I can keep track and keep accountability of that team member so that you can keep leads moving along.
And then the products, right? We want to be able to look at a lead and know exactly what products they're interested, especially if it's in a world like commercial insurance where multiple products might be discussed.
Hmm.
Again, just as an easy way to keep on track. The more leads you have coming into the pipeline, the easier it is to forget what exactly people wanted or what they were interested in, and being able to track that sort of stuff in this industry is very important.
And talking about growth and revenue, we have to talk about premium, right, Charlie?
100%. And you'll see why premium is extra, extra important in our demo. But being able to track how much revenue is potentially on the table, how much we're winning, how much we're losing is really crucial in being able to measure the effectiveness of your lead management strategy.
Yeah, and as we're gonna dive into later, timeliness and being on top of your leads is important. So lead probability, Charlie, take it away. Why is this important?
Well, absolutely. You're going to get a sense in some cases from the get-go, what where leads are in terms of priority. I've definitely talked to certain leads at conventions where I knew exactly just from that one interaction that they were way more interested in than others. And this will act as a way for you to visually look at some of these things on your pipeline and know which ones might take priority over others in the case where you wanted to move ones along a little bit faster.
Perfect. So at the end of the day, you can see here, this is just an example of what a lead card could look like for you. So this is the information you're gathering beyond the basics of like the contact information. This is prime information that you need to know and that your team needs to know if they're managing leads. How do I keep accountable on this lead? How do I keep them moving through the lead process to becoming a client or to completing a service request? So these are those key items that you always want to keep at the forefront so you know how to prioritize, because as you're going to see, prioritizing is key so that you can know who should I reach out to first, how often should I reach out, and so on and so forth. So let's dive into how do you actually use a lead management pipeline. So we're going to walk you through step by step how to manage leads using a system, and whether it's our pipeline system or whether you're using something different or you're just being a little more manual with it. We're going to show you how you can build a strategy from the ground up. And remember, we are sending a free resource your way. So we're going to allow you to basically create your own pipelines from scratch, and you can map it out so that you can actually implement it into your own business. So choose your pipeline for the purpose that you're addressing. And I wanted to call this choose your own adventure, but it didn't really fit the theme. So let's dive into it. First, we have sales pipeline. So Trolley, if you want to take this one, go for it.
Absolutely, yeah. So just keep in mind that not all sales, not all pipelines are the same. You can have pipelines for different purposes, as you will soon see. I would say the vast majority of customers that I've talked to are very much interested in sales pipelines. They are looking for the purpose of the pipeline to convert new business and to bring in additional revenue. And so that's really what the sales pipeline is all about. So you're going to see some examples of this, and we actually have templated pipelines that you could actually just use in Fuse that are just ready to go right off the assembly line. And you're going to see that here in a second. But
Mhm.
typically, we're looking at new business pipeline, taking a lead and converting that lead from a non-client to an actually existing customer. But also cross-selling, and that's really key. And
Mhm.
I tend to talk to a lot of customers who really are gung-ho about the new business side, that I try to bring up cross-selling and put it on equal of a pedestal, right? Like cross-selling customers is just as important, and is just and pipeline is just as useful tool for that than it is converting new business. But you
And
can
it's
use it
cheaper,
for.
and it's overall, it's technically cheaper to retain your clients and grow through that. Like obviously people's lives are going to change. Like when I first got my insurance policy, I had an apartment and a one car, and now I have a house and two cars. So it's like your life changes, and as your clients journeys move forward, you're able to, by cross-selling over time, you can, round out those accounts, but also you're helping them. That's what the heart of it is. But yeah, keep going, Charlie.
I
I
was
just
just
wanted to bring
about to
that up.
say, yeah, no, that was great, Ian. But I was just about to say that all the customers here on this webinar today could start a cross-sell pipeline today, meaning there's no external factors necessary. If you are a Fuse customer, all of that data lives already in your management system. We already know what customers have what policies and what policies they don't have, and you can immediately start a pipeline today, meaning you wouldn't have to do any other additional work. Like that information is ready to go within your account as we speak. So it's it just emphasizes the importance of both sides, certainly, and to just as much emphasis on bringing in new business. You should probably want to, yeah, or at least we recommend using that same amount of energy on cross selling and trying to get additional revenue from current clients.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Charlie. And I'll jump in. As we said, choose your own adventure, right? So Charlie covered the sales pipeline, and that's typically what we see agencies that we work with will use it for those purposes. However, we've seen a nice uptick in agencies using our pipeline system for service requests. So think of it as, for example, it's not just about selling to new business or your existing clients. You can actually manage leads in your pipeline to manage service requests and the processes that you're undergoing. This will add a layer of accountability and just structure to the processes that you and your team go through. So whether that's claims management, policy changes, maybe you're onboarding new clients, you can actually build a journey in a pipeline, take them through the different stages. So let's say you're working with someone and they have a claim. As you're moving through those stages, you can have not only automation set up, sending out communications, but you're also keeping track. Okay, I'm making sure that I'm working with Chorley here and taking care of his claims needs, and I'm keeping myself accountable by having due dates and keeping track of when I'm reaching out and how I'm doing so. So you have to pick your pipeline for your purpose, and as you're going to see, you're probably going to want, if you start using this type of system or process, in lead management, you're going to want both and you're going to have multiple of each because obviously you have lots of things that your clients are reaching out to you about for the service side, but you also offer insurance for a lot of different types of coverages or even the, like Troy said, the cross sell. So let's dive into step two. Now that we've chosen, okay, let's start with, and when you're doing this for the first time, we would recommend just start with one, get your feet wet, see how
Yeah.
it works, and then build that structure into your overall strategy and your overall business. So after you choose the pipeline that you're going to use, now you have to set the stages. So Chorley, walk us through the different stages and the steps involved in each.
Absolutely. So creating that journey, I guess, is another way of saying that. Once that prospect hits your pipeline, where are they going from there? And the beauty about our lead management pipeline in Fuse is that that's completely customizable. We absolutely recommend looking at our templated pipelines, which we will show you, but you can add more to that journey. In other words, for that specific set of goals, what scenarios are going to be at place typically for each lead as you take them from prospect to client.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're engaging with that customer is really the heart of it, right? So the journey is usually going to be about how are you engaging? Are you contacting them? Great. What was their decision? All right. Is a quote involved? I would say 95% of revenue-based pipelines in this industry are going to involve a quote to some degree. So, okay, what does that quote process look like?
Mm-hmm.
What's the decision? Did they come back and say, "Hey, I'm ready to go now," or call me back in 3 months? Do they have questions? Is there something that is potentially holding up the quote process? But eventually a quote is being delivered and then the decision is being made. And really that kind of leads us to the closed stage of this, right? We have the engaged stage and then the closed stage. And the closed stage is the most important part. It says here we're going to quickly turn leads into clients or wrap up clients' service requests. Okay, either one
Mm-hmm.
is going to happen. But really closing the lead is the important part of this journey. Completing the journey is the important part. We know that if you engage the customer properly and you are following up and taking those clients through that journey, that you are more likely to actually close those leads with a win. But we're here to say that the journey is actually the important part, right? Closing that lead and doing so as quickly as you can is the important part, whether that's a win or a
Hmm.
loss. Not letting the leads linger, not letting the leads just sitting there with nobody following up, getting them through the journey, whether that's a win or a loss, is the goal.
Yeah, and every single one of these stages obviously can be customized to your needs. So like the prospecting stage will be unique to how you reach out and communicate initially, how you do your research on the prospect. Then you have the engage, which can vary widely because you could maybe you have a series of different follow-ups that you want to use. You could even tie in automation with emails that go out to just remind people to keep reminding them if they're just to follow up. And your close stage, you're always working toward closing that lead, like Charlie said, as soon as you possibly can, just to keep your workload down, but also you're managing it quickly, especially in the sales environment. You'll know that if someone's looking for insurance with you, they're probably looking at 10 other places, they're getting quotes around. So you want to be timely. As we're going to dive into the best practices, you're going to see why that's important. So now it's coming time to step three. Now you have to add the leads. Well, how do you do that? I'm going to show you a couple of ways of how you can add leads. The first, as you would expect, would be adding them manually to your pipeline system. So just to give you an example, let's say you're at a event or maybe it's a sponsorship event and you have someone walk up to you and they know that you're an insurance agent, business owner. Maybe they're like, "Hey, I'm just starting a new business. I'd love to chat with you about some coverage. I'm still new to as a business owner. I want to learn more." So you grab their business card and you take it home, and then maybe the next day in the office, you go ahead and you input that lead into your pipeline. Great. That's one way of doing it. However, as we're going to see, the best approach is going to be automating as much as possible. So, Charlie, let us know what you got.
Absolutely. So automating with forms is my personal go-to, and probably what I would certainly use if I was in anyone's position. We practice what we preach here at AR. So I have been to sales conventions. I have literally entered lead from a business card into a form. And then we connect those forms into our pipelines. So in other words, and you'll see this here in practice here in about 5 minutes, is you can create custom forms within Fuse. You can connect the pipeline directly to the forms. So any information you fill into a form can lead directly into a pipeline. This can be external, meaning you could have these forms embedded on your websites where cold leads can just find you and request leads directly from the site. Or they could be internal, meaning they're intake forms where, hey, somebody calls, great, your staff pulls up a form, enters in the information, and the moment you click submit, then that lead is directly entered into your pipeline. Both of these recommendations are crucial because these are the two ways that you can initiate leads directly into your pipeline, meaning there is no delay. The moment you click enter, that lead is going to hit your pipeline to begin that journey.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's a few ways to go about it. So some examples for automation would be, for example, as we're going to show you in our live demonstration, you could have a landing page on your website with a form added to it. And if you have the right system, whenever someone fills out that form, it will automatically add a lead to your pipeline so that instantly you can act immediately, reach out to that lead, take action. We also have it for, like, as we talked about, Charlie, events just like you said for Agents Revolution conferences, this is a great way because sure, we said you can add leads manually, but take it a step further, right? What we do on the marketing side is whenever Charlie or someone else attending our conferences comes to us with those business cards, what we actually do is we have a landing page built, and then we'll manually input that information from those business cards, and it'll put it into our pipeline. So that's how we use it. And like Charlie said, we're using it the same way that we're suggesting you to because it works. And it's a great way to automate a lot of the process, but it gets it onto your team's uh, purview so it's front of mind and they can act right away. So now that you've
Absolutely.
added your leads, let's go to the next step, right? You're gonna have to work the
Absolutely.
leads. You're gonna have to go through the process here. So we've got a few steps for you. We're gonna walk you through each of these and why they're super important. So Charlie, take it away.
Absolutely. Tracking the leads regularly. So remember, this is going to be a daily grind, right? Once you initiate a pipeline lead management strategy, that is one you have to commit to. And really, in this industry, you're probably going to get leads or hopefully getting leads every single day. So tracking that leads, making sure that you're checking the pipeline regularly. That includes managers, that includes any agents that are involved, making sure that that pipeline is always open. You're always checking it. It's always front of mind. And then, as I've already mentioned, like assigning people within your agency to act as in a manager level. Who is overseeing the pipelines? Maybe you have people on your personal side, maybe that's commercial side, maybe those are different people. So be it. But who is actually designated to manage the pipeline and, more importantly, hold people accountable?
And this will be
Next,
key as we go through, Charlie, just to interrupt. As we go through, these could be assigned to the same person. They could be assigned to different people at your agency. It depends how you have your system built out. So let's dive through here. Go ahead, Charlie.
absolutely. So then the next stage is really once it's been assigned and you know that you are actually working the lead, what kind of research can you do, right? What information was given to you on the form? What do you already know about the situation? Is this an
Hmm.
existing customer? Is this somebody you've worked with in the past? What kind of preliminary notes can you put in? I will show you here some recommendations on a few quick things that you can actually add to the lead once they hit your pipeline to make that process a little bit smoother. And then it's follow-up time. That really is what the chunk of this is all about, is following up with that client. Make sure that you're contacting them, make sure that if a quote is involved, you're getting all the information, delivering that quote, answering
Hmm.
questions. More importantly, following up with people who drop off the face of the earth once you contact them. That's what this game is all about. And the more aggressive and consistent you are with follow-up, the more likely you are to close that lead. That's where we want to get to. Remember, it's finalizing the deals, whether that's a final with a win or a loss. The main goal here is to get these people through the pipeline and as quickly as possible and close them out. And then review the analytics, review the data. We'll show you what's available here in terms of reporting. Look to see how things are going. What's the ROI? Look at results. Take a look at past leads. See if what you can work and do better on in the future. That's all part of how you would work the leads that hit your pipeline.
Excellent. Yeah, and just as we're listening to the different steps here, you can again apply this strategy of working leads to any system you're using. So whether you're using our platform or something else for your lead management, take these strategies, keep them front of mind because it's going to definitely help you to stay on top of your leads, act quickly, so you can truly stay ahead and keep your team accountable. Hillary had a great question here, David. I think we could chime in on since it's a little
Sure.
relevant. I'll let you jump in on the answer, but what Hillary asks, when the Agency Revolution support team adds a form to our website for us, are they flowing through to our pipeline? The answer would be, and I'll hand it off to you, Charlie, in a second. The answer would be if you have Fuse and that form is a Fuse form. So, Charlie, if you want to explain that at a high level.
Absolutely. So just to be clear, you could have a Forge website and there's forms there, but there's also forms that live on the Fuse side. So we are specifically talking about Fuse forms. You have to be a Fuse customer. But just because you've chatted in and asked an Agency Revolution support to add a Fuse form doesn't mean it's connected to the pipeline. So all Fuse forms, I think, default to the just the generic pipeline that's in your account.
Yeah, and you can
So
configure that. So yeah, if you
yeah,
if you create a new pipeline, Hillary, and you're like, okay, I want a pipeline for service from my claims form. Yep.
exactly.
But every single Fuse form from your marketing automation side will connect to pipeline, which is amazing. And you can niche that down even further based on the goals, based on your needs. So definitely connect with our team. And the cool thing is too, if you just have our Fuse marketing automation platform, that includes the pipeline lead management, and you can embed those forms on any website. So it doesn't have to be Forge. We want you to have a website with us, but if you don't, that's totally okay. If you just have the marketing automation piece, that will still be embeddable, and anyone that fills out that form, it's going to fill right into a pipeline of your choosing once you get that configured. So thanks for that question, Hillary. We really appreciate it. So let's dive into some quick best practices before we let Charlie go off the deep end and show us his fun live demonstration. So let's go over some best practices, Charlie. I'll let you take on this.
Absolutely. And this sort of just summarizes everything we've been talking about so far. But I will add just the inherent importance that's sort of built into everything we've talked about, and that is really the importance of expediting the leads through the pipeline. You know, the
Hmm.
speed and how fast you're getting to these leads becomes important, and that all and that all is about prioritizing and making sure things are assigned. But this is a strategy that works best with promptness, you know, with making sure that it's, again, you're regularly following up with things and you understand or have a good idea of how long the leads have been sitting there. I think there's even research that shows that, you know, if you know, you're far more likely to convert a lead if you're actually able to start that conversation within 60 minutes, you know, 1 to 2
Hmm.
hours. You know, we're talking, you know, let's start this process as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah, and we'll typically see about 1 hour is that kind of they call it the golden hour. That's a sweet spot to reach out. Obviously, the sooner you can reach out, the better. But we all know that you're probably on lots of calls. It might not be unless you have the ideal situation to respond to that lead within 5 minutes. 5 minutes is amazing because that person just filled out that form and you're picking up the phone to call them. That's ideal. But in a real world scenario, if you're calling them within an hour or so, that's excellent because your agency is still going to be top of mind when they filled out that form 30 minutes ago, an hour ago. That way you're jumping in right away. And because remember, they're probably calling around, they're probably shopping around. So you want to make sure you act immediately, show that they're interested. I'll bring up my own personal story. I got insurance from a local agency, and they're actually a client of ours. So that's probably why I picked them. But I called around, right, as you do, looking for home insurance. Uh, they called me back, I'd say within 20-25 minutes. The other agency, I filled out a form, same way. I filled out the form in both of them. They never got back to me to this day. So there's a big difference. And they call me within 20 minutes. I was like, sign me up. After talking with them, after talking about the coverage options, I was convinced. Obviously, we talked through the coverage at length, but you get the point. Having that immediacy really helped me make my decision right off the bat. So that's that experience that you're giving to your prospects, to your existing clients. So keep that in mind of why we are harping on the fact that you need to be timely in how you react to these leads. And a lead management system allows you to do that because it automatically puts that lead in your pipeline so you can act right away. So let's
Absolutely.
go over a couple more best practices, Charlie, and we'll dive into
Yeah, and
that.
we'll I'll speed through these just to get to the demo, but you want to keep the lead information up to date. I will show you how to do that here in a second. We're going to use automation at some level with the lead management pipeline. I'll show you that here, but automation is available within our tool at least, and that can really help at various stages of the process.
Hmm.
And then again, to review metrics, to again have someone at sort of an overseeing and managing the pipeline, to actually reviewing all of this stuff as the process continues.
Love it. All right. So
Okay.
the moment you guys have been waiting for, this is going to be Charlie's live demonstration. So we're going to show you in real time how a pipeline system actually works. We're going to use our own platform. So what you're going to see is in this example, let's just say we have a brand new customer that is calling our agency. So today we're F3 agency. We're going to put on our agency hats. Let's say they call in to me and I have a little chat with them, but they're a business owner, they're busy. So I send them a link to our landing page as you see here. So, Charlie, you're going to be that business owner today. You're going to fill out this form and then we're going to walk through how it actually will feed right into our pipeline in real time. And as the agent, Charlie, you can work through that as well. So,
Beautiful.
take it
And
away.
and can you share my? I see my screen. Okay.
I can see your screen just fine.
Beautiful. Okay. So this is the embedded form that we've been talking about. So this is
Hmm.
actually a fused form that we created, and this is connecting directly to a new business pipeline that we set up for our commercial accounts. In
And
this
this is using our
case,
Forge website here. So just you get a little
absolutely.
bit of behind the scenes of our Forge website platform. This is a dedicated landing page we created. This is you could even send a coverage page as long as it has a Fuse form on it. It will connect to your pipeline. So pretty neat.
Absolutely. Oh, very neat indeed. So I am a curious um, uh, business owner. I'm coming on here to the website. I'm filling out some basic information. So my name is Harvey Hackett. My number is a real one. I assure you that is a real number. And
I don't know, guys.
I
If I saw that number, I would be skeptical, wouldn't you? Sometimes, sometimes I'm sure you'll get those people that will put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That might be me.
but I own a plumbing business. Maybe they put in additional information looking for that commercial quote. They're going to hit submit. Okay. And
Perfect.
now that's going to initiate that process into our pipeline. So let's actually go ahead and show what that pipeline looks like here. So this is our Fuse platform. For those who've never seen it before, this is the automated side of Agency Revolution's marketing solutions. It does a lot more than just the pipeline. The pipeline is just one very small piece. But as we've mentioned before, this is a tool that actually connects directly with management systems. So there is a lot that can be done with it aside from lead management. But this is what a lead management pipeline would look like. In this case, I am in my boss's account, Monica Barraquette. She is enjoying the beautiful summer Florida weather. Who knows? Maybe she's at a theme park by herself. I don't think so. I think she's with her parents, but I hope you're enjoying your time, Monica. But this is her account, which is why you see her picture on it.
Yeah, we got to
So
pick
we
up the slack a little bit for her to
absolutely,
manage the leads
absolutely.
today, right?
But this is what the stage is, or in other words, the journey ends up looking like visually, right? So leads are going to come in as a prospect, cold prospect. These are completely customizable. But if you're going to use one of our templated journeys, like this is what it's going to look like, where
hmm
the first stage is going to be making contact, right? Okay, perfect. What was the result of that? Are you now working on a quote? Okay, so we're preparing that quote. Has the quote actually been delivered? And then ultimately, what was the decision on that quote?
And then, Charlie,
And
if you don't mind showing us the steps within each of these, I think that would be great to see the detail.
absolutely, yeah. So we've talked a little bit about automation. So we're not talking about automating leads from stage to stage, right? That is a manual process. We expect a human being to actually drag the leads from one stage to the other. But when we say automation, we're actually talking about the communication that can be built into each stage of the pipeline, which is
hmm
key, which is very important. In particular, we've been harping on following up and the importance of following up, and having some automated communication built into this will make that process a lot easier.
hmm
So you can see here, we have our stages that are built in. So let's just use this quote delivered stage as an example. I'm going to pull this open, and you can see here that we have a series of emails that are set up. Again, completely customizable. But we know as long as somebody lives here in this quote delivered, we've sent a quote to this particular lead, but for some reason they've dropped off the face of the earth. I'm sure everyone on this call has experienced this more than once. They are not responding. Okay, well, at the very least, if our schedules get tied up, if we get sick, whatever the case may be, we've got a series of follow-up communications that we know will go out. And as long as the lead is in this stage, they will continue to be subject to those communications until we move them to another stage.
Which is what you want to do because they could get that second follow up, and then you're moving into the closed one because that you were able to get in touch with them, you're able to make the deal. But carry on, Charlie. I think
Uh,
that's a great thing that you're showing here.
oh,
A great
absolutely.
example.
So in this case, I'm just going to refresh my pipeline, and then Harvey Hackett, that lead that we just submitted, we see now that lead has hit the first stage of this.
Yep. So as you can
So
see, whenever someone fills out that form, it's instantly going to add it to your
yeah,
pipeline. So that gives you that sense of immediacy, so you can act on it. So we just wanted to
as
point that
so
out.
so again, I'm going to put on my imaginary manager hat. So this is where assigning who's going to be in charge of really overseeing this, like checking on it, really comes into play. So here I am a manager. And the first thing that I'm really going to do is I'm going to decide who in my agency is actually going to be in charge of this. Like who am I assigning this to actually track and to go through the journey. So in this case, Monica's already assigned to it, but I could go in and I could assign it to any number of agents that I would like to receive this. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as Monica. Next, I'm going to give it a title. Again, you could do whatever you want in terms of your process, but we just kind of recommend keeping this as the name of the lead. In this case, we have Harvey Hackett. Now, I'm actually going to go over to the right. I'm going to show you a couple things. We mentioned reviewing and taking some time to actually research and just get as much information as you can from the lead before you actually start making contact. In this case, this is actually a customer that looks like we've worked with before. Maybe they were a past prospect that we weren't able to convert. Maybe we quoted them once and we weren't able to convert. In this case, this actually looks like it was a past client that we used to work with several years ago. But if they're in your management system, we're gonna connect the dots, and we're gonna be able to see if there is some history there. And obviously, when you're cross-selling customers, that is going to be even more important. But
Hmm.
we can go over here to the products, and we can make sure that, again, we are assigning the specific product that they're looking for, which you should have some idea of just from the form information. So in this case, we're going to look at looking at a bot policy. And then as you progress with your journey, you can add additional notes and just additional information to really help you along. And this is key. So, hey, I've made my first initial phone call. Maybe they didn't pick up. Maybe they asked you to call back in 2 weeks. Great. You can log that information as you go to make it easier to manage that. Or, hey, I talked to this guy and he said that he really loves Super Mario Brothers. Okay, I got to make sure to mention that on the next call. Like, that is key. Like, being able to manage that stuff and manage that information, especially when you got a lot of leads being juggled, is
And
really,
that
really important.
and that's helping you be more personable. It has those little cues and reminders. You might even be using that in your own shape or fashion, but
Yeah,
this
you're
is a
probably
great
already
way.
doing that.
This is a great way
Th-
so that's like, okay, they have 3 kids. I can talk about that as an icebreaker when you're reaching out to them again. So this is a nice way to
Absolutely.
have those notes. Plus, like Monica's away, so if Charlie has to deal with her leads, he knows all the information. He knows, hey, maybe she called last week, so that when Charlie picks up the phone, he's not kind of going in blind.
Yeah, people take vacations, right? And this is just an easy way around that.
Hmm.
Two other things that we previously mentioned, we talked about the importance of lead probability. So this is where you can change that as well. And this really acts more as a visual cue in the pipeline, so you can see, which leads might be a higher priority. And then, as you will see here in a second, really, really important, and we highly recommend assigning due dates to the leads. Now, this is a process that you have to stick with. In other words, assigning a due date isn't just something you do at the beginning of the process. Anytime you are going to move a lead to another stage, let's say you move them over to the quote delivered stage, perfect. You're assigning another due date, and that due date really acts as the follow-up. This is going to help yourself be held accountable and help your managers track this. So assigning the due date is really going to make this process easier,
And
and you're going to see why here in a second.
yeah, and Charlie, let's show too, adding a premium. I think that would be cool to show. That's another big piece of the puzzle here. We want to make sure we can track that. So
Absolutely.
how do we do that?
Absolutely. So within the product side, you can come in here and add premium as well. Keeping in mind, you may not know the exact amount of the total premium that's on the table until you actually deliver the quote. So where you get that information, I understand that may be in a slightly different time frame. But whenever you have a good idea of what the premium is going to be, it becomes really important to enter that in here. So
It
in this
definitely
case,
helps you to prioritize as well.
absolutely. So in this case, I'm just going to add 999, and you can see here now that that's been added to the total premium on the lead cart. And you'll see why this is really important here in about 2 minutes. But now I've got my lead. You can see that all that information that we showed you before is now visually entered here on the actual cue card itself. And now it becomes a day-to-day management, right? So how are you going to start managing these leads, especially as you can see here, where the leads are kind of starting to add up a little bit. You can see, oh, well, we've got 6 or 7 leads working here. So what tools do we provide here to make that process easier? So from a day-to-day management, we use what we call the My Day dashboard. This is available for both agents and managers, but agents are going to only be able to see the leads that they're assigned to, right?
Which makes
Managers,
sense.
yeah, managers are going to be able to see everything. You're going to see what everyone's doing, but agents are only going to have access to what they are currently assigned to.
And
And
agents is just the term we use for the user type. But obviously, if you're using like a service pipeline, it would apply to CSRs. Basically, who at your agency is going to be working with these leads, on the ground level in the trenches. That is what we're referring to as agents. And then managers
Absolutely.
will be like the overseers, like you're tracking performance and making sure people are reaching out and keeping them accountable.
Absolutely. And you'll clearly see the importance of the due date here, because the first thing you'll probably notice is that there's a lot of leads here on Monica's dashboard that are overdue. In other words,
I wonder
Monica is totally
why.
slacking. So, so I, as Monica, can come in here and go, oh my gosh, I need to go in and I need to at least, move those people along or change the due dates so that they're not overdue. But down here at the bottom, you'll actually then see, okay, these are the leads that are actually due. In this case, Harvey Hackett, I literally just entered him and now he's due today.
And the goal
And
of the My Day here, as Charlie's mentioning, is to either get them closed, but obviously that's not always going to happen. You might end up just, okay, I called Harvey. Maybe he's on vacation. I'm going to call him back next week. I established that. So you can move the due dates accordingly. This just helps you manage your day, hence the name. So that
yeah,
way you're staying on top of your leads. You're keeping yourself honest and responsible for who you're working with.
now let's use an example here. Let's say I call up Harvey, and on that first call, man, he is interested. I was able to sell him a bot policy, and he is a brand new commercial client. So you could manually drag him over to that stage if you wanted to, but you can also control where they are in the journey actually within the lead itself, which is actually, I think, a little bit easier. So in this case, I'm actually just going to close him out. I'm going to move him to the quote decision,
Got a
and I'm
quick
going to,
sale there. Nice job.
yeah, and you can close them out with a yes or a no. Hopefully there are more yeses than nos. You can add a little note, and I'm going to close this lead. Harvey, welcome to the agency. Welcome aboard. I'm going to go back into my pipeline, and now you can actually see that I've made immediate progress on my
Mm-hmm.
day, right? You can see here, if anything, it acts more as like a visual pat on the back saying, really good job.
Troy
But
just
again,
leveled up.
yeah,
We're
you're leveling
gamifying
it
the
up,
system
man.
here.
This is, if pipeline were a video game, I don't know, but like it's the best we could probably do.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, I really like the fact that it will actually bring up any leads that don't have due dates, right? So again, accountability. Hey, I forgot to assign a due date. I moved someone to another stage. It will allow you to go and make sure that you're keeping that up to date.
Yep. Never miss an
Um,
opportunity. This will help you.
and so this is really on the day-to-day, the agent, and the manager side, just managing those leads. But we also offer more high-level reporting for managers, and this is going to be really important to sort of give a much bigger picture or higher overview of the performance of the pipeline. Keeping in mind, you can have multiple pipelines. You obviously can have multiple agents working each pipeline. This is going to give you a nice visual clue of how all of that is going, right? As a manager, you're going to want to know how much revenue is on the table, how much are we winning, how much are we losing, and how can I track that to the individual progress of agents that are using the pipeline. So here it will give you overall performance of all pipelines put together. Here it's going to break down every specific agent and their specific progress. In this case, Monica has one more business than she's lost, but still has 56% of her revenue on the table. Those leads are still sitting in there. And again, it's kind of getting this down to as low a level as possible, whether it's a win or a loss. But we don't want to see a lot of leads sitting in pipelines unnecessarily.
And this is part of your review process. You're looking at this on a regular basis as a manager. You're able to identify, oh, maybe Monica needs to do this better. So there's opportunity here that allows for you as the manager to keep track of your team, but also to measure what's working, what's not. Maybe there's too many steps in one of your automations, or maybe, hey, this pipeline's doing great because we're doing XYZ. So it gives you that opportunity to see that. But Troy, anything else here before we jump into our next quick example?
No, just to reiterate the importance of the premium, right? So there's a reason we wanted to show you the premium. The premium must be entered on the leads in order for revenue to show up in this report. So this report's gonna have a lot more value if you're gonna be able to consistently make sure premium is added for each of those leads. This potential premium. Thank
Perfect.
you,
And
Ian.
Troy, while you open up your next example, Jason has a question here.
Okay.
Can we turn on and off the workflows? I'm guessing the automations, or if a prospect responds to an email, will the automation stop? So can you explain that a little bit, Troy, of how that works?
Well, there isn't anything that I'm aware of that will prevent automation from going out just because someone responded to it, right? The only way that you're going to change the workflow, in other words, or you're going to pivot that automation in a new direction, is by moving the lead into another stage.
And then the other thing to add too is if you're using our Fuse platform, if it is an email and you have the outbox turned on, that will allow that email to go through your outbox, which gives you about 7 days to see before it sends out. So
Correct.
you have that
But
as a backup too sometimes.
But Jason,
Go
I
ahead,
think
Ryan.
maybe the easier way to answer that question is that turning on and off workflows isn't generally how the system was designed. You could potentially like send leads into different workflows, I suppose, but the what we've been showing you today really works with what stages they're in, right? The automation and the communication is based on correct, just for one prospect. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. We can always answer or give more details offline if that was not the case.
Yeah, and for
Um,
our second example, we'll just breeze through this one because we want to do the giveaway. You guys want to win that t-shirt. But this will be like a high-level example. This is another web page on our Forge website. So this is for a life insurance quote, and this particular campaign for our pipeline is actually tied to not only this form here, but it's tied to a cross-sell campaign, which is pre-built. We just activated it, turned it on, and it puts people into a queue to get communications from us. And in that particular campaign, if someone fills out that form, engages with it, and they actually become a client, it will take them out of that automation. So if that answers your question a little bit there, Jason, certain depending on the triggers of the campaign, outside of a pipeline especially, you have that option to take them out if they no longer fit the initial criteria. So in our case, we're thinking of, hey, this is a current client in your book of business that has a personal policy but does not have a life policy. So as soon as you win them over through your, hopefully through your pipeline process, they will become a client. You'll update that in your AMS, and then your Fuse will know when it connects to your AMS, hey, this person has life insurance now. So we're going to take them out of the queue to get those emails. So that's just, there's multiple ways you can use pipelines. We showed you from the sales perspective, but again, you can create a service pipeline for claims, for policy renewals. It really will help you manage and stay on top of working with your leads and your clients. But let's jump
Absolutely.
into the giveaways. We got a couple of freebies for you, as usual. So let me go ahead and share my screen here and let me
Beautiful.
know if everything looks good there. All good?
Hmm.
All right. So apply what you've learned. So tomorrow, you guys are going to get a free lead management best practices guide. It will be on the way. We're going to send it along with the recording of this webinar. So you can follow along exactly the steps we showed you to build your own sales pipeline, to build your own service pipeline. And you can take that as your foundation and build upon it and implement it into your actual agency, whether you're using our pipeline system or maybe you're using some other technology to handle it for you. But this will give you also the basics, the best practices, just so you always have it handy. You can always save it to your computer and have it for safekeeping. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, I hope, the swag giveaway. So, the first three people to answer this question will win a prize. So get ready to start typing. But first, just a quick reminder, what can you win today? Well, you can win this Level Up Pipeline Pro. So hopefully you are going to be a Pipeline Pro, and you definitely are if you win this prize. And after today, we'll consider you all Pipeline Pros. But you're going to get the t-shirt if you win this little quiz here. So the first three to answer correctly, get your webinar chat open. We're going to ask the question, and Jolene's going to stop us whenever we have the first three winners. So test your Mario knowledge. Who was Mario's first arch nemesis? We're talking about Mario, Luigi from the video games, not Mario Andretti. Sorry, sorry, Stan. But go ahead, put your answers in here, and we'll see who gets the who wins the prize here. So we've got Evan and Sammy saying Donkey Kong. What else have we got here? Come on, let's keep it going. Bowser, Donkey Kong.
Bowser
All
down,
right.
Donkey Kong, Bowser,
So it
Donkey
looks like a
Kong.
mix between the two, but Do you know what? This question threw almost everyone off when I asked it. So we're gonna say, and this is true, the answer is actually Donkey Kong, believe it or not. If you remember back in the olden day, back in the day, like I always used to say, uh, the original Donkey Kong game, you're actually playing as Mario, you're climbing up the ladders, you're dodging the barrels, you're trying to save Princess Peach. So Donkey Kong is the right answer. So if we go back up, Evan, you were right on target, you were ready to go.
Yep.
Sammy,
Nice
Nick,
job.
and Elizabeth. All three of you guys are going to get an awesome t-shirt. So we're going to send you more information on the way, but we really appreciate everyone with your answers. Now you know if you said Bowser or Waluigi, now you know the true answer is Donkey Kong. So your next I don't know, your what are they called? The not quiz shows, but trivia nights. You'll know
Yep.
the answer. So, questions. But before we get into questions, we just wanted to thank everyone for joining us here today. Since we're at the end of the hour, again, reminder that we will be sending you a free resource. We're going to also be sending you a replay of today's webinar. So thanks everyone for joining. If you want to stick around, we will take some questions or we'll just have a little bit of chit chat with everyone here that's going to stick around. So again, thank you from Agents Revolution. It's been a blast. I hope you've learned a lot, and we look forward to chatting with you further.